Hey guys, I hope you all can hear me okay. I'm actually out here in my garden, and of course, I couldn't find my AirPods, so I hope the audio's okay. I'm just using the computer audio, so let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I'm looking forward to having a really great chat today. This is something I am super passionate about. I love companion planting, and it actually made me forget all about the fact that we were supposed to do June gardening today because I was like, ooh, companion planting, and I got really excited. But anyways, I am really excited to be hanging out with you all again for another beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It is actually a beautiful day so far here in Oklahoma. I am in Zone 7 in Oklahoma City, and it's actually a beautiful sunny day. It is very windy, so again, hopefully the audio is okay. Um, okay, great. Thank you all for letting me know that the audio is good. So, yay! Um, but yeah, it is very windy, but it is bright and sunny out and beautiful. It says 81. So it is gorgeous. It is absolutely perfect. A perfect day to be out in the garden, at least for me. So hopefully it is for you guys all are too. I've done a lot of planting out in the garden and weeding and all of that, but I still have a lot of work to do, as you can probably see behind me. But I have a lot of things going back here, and lots of plants going. Even this bed right here. Oh, there's actually some things coming up. Oh, I'm excited. I didn't see that yet. I just sat down and got everything set up. I didn't even look to the side of me yet. I actually have I just planted a whole bunch of zinnias in through here, and I did like sections of different varieties of zinnias that I actually like, that I really love. I did a whole bunch of like the Parks Picks ones, as well as the Cinderella zinnias. I love them. So I actually see several coming up, so I'm really excited there. Yay! It's exciting. Anyways, side note, welcome everybody. Pop into the chat. Let me know where you all are joining us from. And every time you guys do pop in the chat and comment, you also get entered in to win a free 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So yay! Exciting. It is here, I will pull it up. Yay, it's right there. So with that, you get a whole bunch of benefits. I mean, you get a free shipping on all of your orders through the app, as well as unlimited gardens that you can create, because you can do a whole bunch of visual garden layouts, and you can send pictures up to Growbot. Because I actually have done this several times this week when I've been working out in the garden, and I've seen like random bugs or that just some random other like plants too popping up. I'm like, ooh, what is this? Is this something that I planted or something that's coming up from last year, or is it just a weed? So I send a picture, I send it up to Growbot, and Growbot tells me. So it's awesome to have around. I love having just my little helper right there in my pocket. So you all can have that too. And so comment in the chat. All you have to do is just comment in there, and you'll be entered in to win the free 1-year subscription. So yay. Yes, so today, well, actually, before I jump into that, I always forget to introduce myself because I see so many familiar names and faces in the chat. I forget that some of you guys are new. It's not all the same people. So welcome. My name is Carrie. My husband Dale and I are the creators of the Seed to Spoon app. We ended up we started gardening back in, so this is from 2025, before we had any garden. Well, you can see we were in the process of building a couple little 4x4 raised beds in our backyard there in Oklahoma. And we went through, and neither one of us had much experience at all with gardening, but over a course of a couple years, we seriously, we studied and learned so much, and we turned it into a completely covered with a whole bunch of gardens and raised beds and food and flowers and everything. It was absolutely incredible. And during that process, there was just so much to learn. We were like, man, there really needs to be an app for that. And so we ended up creating it. So I mean, it's kind of funny how it all just fell into place and happened. But um, yeah, so it's really something that I use out in my garden every single day, like all the time. I'm always using it. So it's definitely something that I absolutely love and absolutely recommended to you guys. Okay, so let's go back here. So today, I do these live streams every single Tuesday where I go live and talk about a gardening topic or showing the app or something like that. But today, actually yesterday, I was just I don't know what made me think about this, but I was like, oh my gosh, we haven't talked about companion planting in a while. I was like, we really need to do a live stream like on companion planting because it is something that I do all of the time. And I mean, pretty much everything that I plant out here has some sort of reason for that. So I really wanted to talk a little bit about companion planting and share why it's important and hopefully give you guys some inspiration and ideas on how to go about getting started yourselves too. So it's definitely super easy. So just a quick overview of what companion planting really is. It's really just planting plants that are compatible together or they have some mutual benefits to each other. Um, so, for example, in this image that I have right here on the screen, I have some marigolds planted in with my tomatoes. So, that is a mutual beneficial relationship because the marigolds will help to repel pests away from the tomatoes. And it's something that it really helps all of the plants around it too. So, it's definitely something that is really important for everybody. And you can have so much more success if you do smart gardening, which really is just planting the right things together. And at the same time, too, is a lot of them are, I mean, there's a lot of things too that are good companions, but there are some things too that you definitely need to avoid as well. So there's some things that just don't do well if you plant them together. So just having a little understanding of what goes really good with what is really helpful. So I do want to encourage everybody to do as much companion planting as possible. And I do want to mention also that the Seed to Spoon app can help because as I was planning our first garden and but as I was going through, especially those first few years, like trying to remember over and over which plant goes best with which one. And I'm like, oh no, was I supposed to plant this with this? And like, there's just so much information to know and remember. And so I wanted to make sure that was in the app too. So Dale and I actually put it into the app. And here, let me show you real quick. Let me share. Here we go. So up here, so this is the Seed to Spoon app right here. I'm sharing our web app. So anybody can go here, just the app.seedtospoon.net. Okay, let me pop that up right here. So I'm just using this web version right here, and I'm logged in to my account that I use on my phone. So that way I get all of it transfers over all of my data. So I have all of my gardens there. I have my premium access too, so I can do everything that I can do on my phone on the desktop version. So you guys can all do this too and log into your account. You don't have to be premium or anything. You can, as long as you have an account, you can just log in to the app and it'll have everything right there. Sometimes it's just easier, especially if I'm planting a whole bunch of things at once, and just to go in later, like after the fact. But so I do want to show two different ways that you all can find good companions. So under here, there's this growing guides right here, which will show all of the plants that we have listed in our database, which, I mean, we have, I don't even know how many we have now, which we have a lot of them. But whenever you go in and you tap into any of these, so let's go to, I don't know, bell peppers. It's right there. So if you go down, you can tap on companions and it'll scroll down automatically to this section and it will show every single plant that is in our database again that is a good companion for it, along with right here enemies. So ones you want to kind of avoid planting with them. So it's just kind of a helpful guide to be able to scroll through. And again, like anybody can use that feature. It is not a premium feature. Everybody has that. I also want to show another one too. So whenever you are in a visual garden layout, so this is one of my garden beds here, and it'll show you here where if you try to go and plant bad things together, you can still do it, but it'll show a red X right here and it'll say it's a bad companion. So it just kind of highlights the fact of maybe you might want to avoid these. Now these necessarily, like, they're mainly just ones that are in the same family, so that's why they're ones that are not super compatible with each other, but those are ones that you may want to try to avoid right there too. So right there. So I did want to show that if you the search bar doesn't work very well on the plant list. Let's go back and look real quick on the plant list. So if you're up on this, hopefully this right here is what you're looking at. Yeah, so if you type in like peppers or anything like that, it'll pop up anything that has peppers in the name right here. So there might be a variety of pepper. So it's kind of funny because it does pull varieties too. So if I put in like jalapeno or something, it'll pull up varieties of things as well. So that might be why you think like the search isn't working super great, but it's pulling like everything. So then again, like if I type in mint, it'll pull up like there's probably colors of mints that are in these flowers as well. So that's why those ones pop up. But mint also pops up right there too. So okay. So if you guys have any questions too, feel free to pop them in the chat. Let me know. Again, every time you guys comment, you get entered in to win a free 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So comment away if you guys have any questions. Pop them in to the chat and I'll pull them up. Super informal. We're just going to chat about a few of the most common summer veggies that I'm going to be growing, and I'm sure most everybody else out there is going to. So I wanted to talk about tomatoes first because I feel like tomatoes are something that everybody talks about, everybody grows pretty much, and everybody has questions about. And now I feel that being said, everybody's probably heard too to plant basil and marigolds next to tomatoes, but you may not necessarily know why, but those are definitely ones that are really great to be having together. So there's a bunch of different companions. Now these lists that I pop up are not the be all and end all of the list. They are just one that they're just ones that will be that I've called out, like my favorite ones or the most beneficial ones and all of that. So, but marigold definitely is my number one pick for tomatoes because it does several things. So it not only, so in the picture I call out, so it repels nematodes in the soil. So it does something really unique where in its roots, it can work to, for the harmful nematodes. It can work to repel those, which is great. And then it also repels some insects, but it also too brings in some really good like pollinators, and it brings in some good beneficials to your gardens, like I mean things like ladybugs and all that too. So there is always a place in like everybody's garden too, whenever they are planting anything. I mean I feel like marigolds are just always on the list. Okay, here. Sorry. I'm going through, I see everybody's questions and stuff. I am starring some to come back to and pull them up, and then I will do that. I will pop these up here in a bit. Um So another one for tomatoes that I always do is a basil. So basil and marigold. Pretty much every time I transplant out a tomato, I always have a basil and a marigold to go with it too. So basil has been known to enhance the flavor of tomatoes. Now, I mean, whether it does or doesn't, like that's up for debate, but it supposedly helps, which hey, I'm all for it. My tomatoes taste great, so maybe it's the basil, maybe not. I don't know. But basil supposedly kind of can help with the flavor, but also too, it helps to deter the aphids and tomato hornworms. So if you have ever done grown tomatoes before, I'm sure you've heard of the tomato hornworm, and it is definitely something to battle for sure. And anything you can do to deter that would be amazing. So I always recommend basil for sure. Um, then, sorry, I'm still going through, and sorry, you guys are commenting away. I am starring everything that I can here as I go through. Um, and then marigolds. Sorry, we talked about marigolds and basil. So the other ones that I like to do as well, but I don't necessarily always do. I just have them sometimes on the side. Is nasturtium. I love growing nasturtium too. I don't always have them, but I do like nasturtium. But they work really well for aphids. So they work kind of as what's called a trap crop. So that's something that works to repel or well, sort of repel the pests away from their tomatoes, but they're attracting the pests to them. So that way, if you are going to have aphids, the aphids are going to be on your nasturtiums instead of your tomatoes. So in a way, it is protecting your tomatoes. So that's kind of what a trap crop does. So there's different types of benefits of having a plant around. So some of them will attract pests to it. Some of them will just repel pests. Some of them will bring in pollinators. Some of them will bring in beneficials. There's so many different benefits. So nasturtium work really well for that. And then there's also calendula. I love growing calendula. It is one of my new favorites from last year. I actually just grew it for the first time from seed last year, and I found it surprisingly easy, and I couldn't believe that I hadn't been growing it all along. And it's definitely something that it's so beautiful. It brings in so many pollinators, and it also helps repel pests too. So calendula is definitely something that I feel like everybody should try their hand at, because it's definitely a unique one that I feel like I don't know why I didn't grow it sooner. I should have, but I didn't start until last year, and I absolutely love it. Um, and then garlic. Garlic is an amazing companion plant for so many reasons. It's definitely one of my favorites that I plant all the time. So I'm known for doing this with garlic as well as onions. I do this often with. I do like almost like a fortress of them, and I plant them around my raised beds. So actually, you can kind of see it right here in this garden. I have actually a border around this raised bed right here that is a whole bunch of onions, and I have garlic around. I don't think you can see it. It's this back one back here, but I have just kind of like a border around it that I just go around, and I'm like, well, it will help to deter the pests because it is really strong fragrance and it doesn't take much space. So I really just sneak it in on the edges everywhere. And it also is known to help with fungal issues too. So it's very interesting, like how well it works and all of that. So that's definitely something to suggest as well. Okay, so I'm going through. See if we have any tomato questions real quick. Okay, Andrea, which one did you? Oh, calendula. Oh, yep, calendula. Yep, there you are. Yes. Awesome. Yes, Donna, you and I, we got this. Okay. So, on the same line, I did want to make sure that I talked also about the things that you should probably avoid planting next to tomatoes. So, this being said, like it's not going to be horrible, but you probably want to try to avoid or keep these ones at their distance. So, these ones are known to have some negative issues to tomatoes too. So, potatoes are definitely a big one that are enemies with a lot of the plants that we're going to talk about today. And it's because they have the shared blight risk. So, one of the issues you can have with tomatoes is blight, and potatoes have that same issue or can. So, it's definitely something you want to try to keep your distance. So, that's the same with the corn. So, they attract the same types of pests. So, you want to try to avoid putting them closer together. So, you want to try to, if your pests get one thing, hopefully they don't get everything. You know what I mean? So anything that's generally in like the same family or attracts the same pests, you kind of want to give them their space and put something in between them just to try to separate them a little bit that you can. Um, and so I put a picture of broccoli, but this really is goes for any brassica, which means any broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, everything that's in that family. And those ones are ones that can kind of compete for the nutrients. So you don't really want to put them together because then they're both kind of heavy feeders. You're going to have issues there. And then fennel, of course, I did see someone pop in the chat. Yep. Fennel doesn't grow well with anything. So, when in doubt, if you have fennel in your garden, keep it by itself. I mean, not necessarily by itself, but in its own container, because it has inhibited. It's I don't even know how it especially works. I just know that fennel with itself, it's not something you want to be planting with anything. So I pretty much anytime I go through and plant fennel, I've done it like once. I have it in its own container and I have it off to the side because it brings in a whole bunch of beneficials to your garden, but it doesn't play well with others. So try to avoid that then for sure. Um, yes, Jackie, this is definitely something that I'm working on myself. So I want to see this too. So we're working on it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much fennel doesn't really play well with with anything. They really don't. They don't. Unfortunately. But like I said, if you're going to grow fennel, put them in their own little container, like off to the side, and they'll attract a lot of beneficials to your garden. So it's definitely something you could do. Here's a tomato question real quick that I'll pull up. Last year splitting was an issue in my tomatoes. Why does this happen? Still tasted good, but had to toss ones where the splits were too big. Probably an uneven watering issue. So if you pull them before they get too large, sometimes you can get them, like if they were cherry tomatoes and they got too large, they can crack open too. But usually it's like a watering issue as well. Yes, fennel does bring in so many pollinators and beneficials. I love fennel. So it will work really good for that. So it is definitely beneficial to have around. Just keep it off by itself. Oh yeah, good call out here. Black walnut trees don't play well with anything either. That's true. Yes. So if you have a black walnut tree around, try to grow that, or try to do your garden elsewhere, or just watch out. Okay, squash. So this is another one where I definitely always do companion planting for. So I wanted to make sure I called out the ones like the plants that had the heavy pest issues and the things that were most common. But squash is definitely one that I get heavy pest issues for because I grow a lot of it, first of all, and it's one of my favorites. And I get attacked with squash bugs and squash vine borers if I don't stay on top of it, and if I don't do companion planting well, or if I'm, yeah, a lot of things. So I wanted to make sure I included squash because this is definitely something I want to call out, especially these top few things. So, with the dill, dill is amazing for squash because it will help to attract predatory insects. So, by that I mean like those wasps, those predatory wasps that go through and they will devour. Well, first of all, they will devour the tomato hornworms too, but they also have been known for hunting squash bugs too. So definitely look at growing some dill next to it. Mint is a huge companion that I want to make sure I mention for squash because I actually had a squash plant. I've done this 2 years in a row now because I don't have a lot of mint around, but I put some mint into just a small container and I go through and I put it right next to the base of my squash plant, and I didn't have any issues on that plant. So whether it be luck or not, I am going to go with mint like as much as I can. And I will say too, make sure, like I said, put it in a container. Don't just plant mint loose willy nilly in your yard because it will take over. I I actually have a funny story in my front yard. I I assume at some point we were cleaning out the garden and tossed like some empty bags or what we thought were empty bags of soil over there. And somehow there was like a strand of mint that got loose in our front yard. And now I have mint growing all throughout my front yard, which I'm okay with it. I love it. It smells really good. And I can go through, I'm going to pull some cuttings from it and propagate some and bring it to my garden again and put it next to squash because I want it to help me with squash. Um, but yes, mint will definitely help with squash bugs, believe it or not. Again, like it's worked for 2 years in a row for me. And just on the particular squash plant that I had the mint planted next to, I didn't have any issues. So yeah, I'm, I'm going to say mint. um, Also, radish is also really good too. It's considered a trap crop for vine borers, believe it or not. So it's something that will, again, with the trap crops, those are ones that will attract those plants to it instead of your squash. So I'm all for anything to keep the squash vine borers and the squash bugs off. So I have done a lot of radish before, especially like daikon radishes and things like that. Those are definitely ones that work really well. So yes, I see a lot of comments here about mint. So this is a good call out too. Mint does a really good job at controlling rodents too. I actually had a huge rodent issue and I put a bunch of mint by my front entrance because I had it like fenced in, but they were like coming in through the one door and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put a whole bunch of mint right here by the door, by the gate, and maybe it'll repel them. It actually worked. So like, yes. Oh, good call out here. So Paige was asking, does lemon balm help? So yes, lemon balm would be very similar to mint. So it would be something again with that scent, that strong scent. There's just something about it. Same as like catnip. Catnip would be another one, catmint. All of those. Anything like real strong smelling would help to throw them off. Yes. So Donna said, is that in any variety of mint, spearmint, peppermint? I mean, I can't tell you actually what variety of mint I have anymore because I honestly don't remember the last time I bought mint. It was probably like 5 years ago now was the last time I bought mint, and I bought a whole bunch of different varieties at the time, and I have propagated off of some of it, and yeah, I don't know what type of mint I have, but any type of mint will work for it. So it's just going to be your personal preference. Yes, I love chocolate mint. I'm pretty sure I actually have the chocolate mint growing in my front yard because it looks like the chocolate mint too, because it's like a little bit like brownish too, and the smell just, yeah, it smells incredible, absolutely incredible. So anyways, yes. So nasturtium again is actually one that's really good too. So they will help to repel squash bugs. So I actually haven't tried this myself, but I have a whole bunch of nasturtium. I planted an entire tray of nasturtiums, and I still have some that I need to transplant out. So I am actually going to be taking a nasturtium today. I'm going to plant it next to my squash. I actually have a very good sized squash. Let's see if you can see it right there. I don't know if you can see it right there. I have a pretty good sized squash going right there. It's a zucchini one, and it is thriving right now. I actually have some zucchini on there. I looked yesterday and it was really close, so hopefully today it's not a baseball bat. We'll see. But um anyways, let's see. Oh, Wendy, great question. So, what about plants in the mint family, like bee balm? Yes, bee balm would be great as well. Um, Pretty much anything in the mint family, like we talked about, like the cat mint or catnip or anything like that, would be good. Actually, as we did that, I have some mint right here, right next to me, and I was like, ooh, I smelt it in the wind. It smelled good. Um, Great question here. So Andrea was asking, is it better to grow squash vertical? Absolutely. If you have the ability to grow squash vertically, 100% do it, because it'll help you not only see an issue if there's an issue coming with pests or anything like that, but it will help you, like, it'll help the other, like the beneficials, to hunt the pests also, because they'll see them more. They won't like it as much. So yeah, there's so many benefits to growing vertically if you can. Now with zucchini, it's very difficult to, but if you can, just put like a little T post next to it, and you can try to like train it up and do that. Now, typically I do that. This is my first squash, and I haven't, well, knock on wood, haven't seen any issues with it yet. But usually towards the end of the season, 'cause it's squash is something that I grow in rounds. I do what's called succession planting. So if I do have pest issues or have issues, I will always have a plant, hopefully alive. So I go through, and that way I'm always continually harvesting. But I do that with a lot of my summer plants. I even do that with my winter plants too. I do that all the time, just because I want things at different stages. I want to be able to harvest at different times and all of that. But yes, if you can grow it vertically, absolutely do it. Oh man. Okay. Tried squash 2 years, but hopefully you'll have success now. Yes, this is a good call out too. So the vertical plants, not only with the pest issues, but they also have better airflow too, which helps prevent disease. So great call out, Karma. Great. Ooh, yes. You've talked about these varieties before, the climbing zucchini varieties. I'm definitely gonna have to look into those, because I've never grown any actual like climbing zucchini varieties. I've always just tried to force my zucchinis to grow vertically. But that's definitely something I need to look at, because that's very interesting. I love this. I was accidentally chaos gardening and realized companion planting was a thing, so now I'm going to try to remedy that. You know what? Chaos gardening is amazing, and usually you can find really good companions within chaos gardening. So if you guys aren't familiar with chaos gardening, I mean, I do it a lot too, but usually I know what I'm throwing out and that they're good friends with each other at least. But yeah, chaos gardening, really just going out and tossing seeds around and seeing what comes up. It's a fun way to garden. Live on the wild side. Oh, good question. Is it too late to start squash from seed? Absolutely not. I have some growing right now. I'm in zone 7, but I have squash growing right now. I'm going to be continuing to start more by seed, and I've been starting a lot of squash by seed. So absolutely not. At least where I am. But definitely look in the app here. Let me pull this back up here really quick. So if you go in here to summer squash, so it'll tell you the exact dates right here where you can be planting. But I mean, it also says too, zucchini can be planted throughout the summer. So really the dates that you want to look at for the squash is right here. So for me, I'm not going to plant any past August 5th. That's how late you can plant it, because a lot of these, like there's some of them that have super fast harvest dates that you can still sneak in. Because I have typically here in Oklahoma, we don't have early fall frost dates. So it doesn't get cold real fast, luckily. So it might be different where you are, but take a look at the fall planting dates to know like when you should avoid planting that right there. Um, oh, good question. Jackie was saying, what do you use for a trellis? So I can actually show you one right here. This is one of our cattle panel arch trellises right here. I have it. This is just a cattle panel that I have propped up against this wooden raised bed right here, and then it's arched over and placed against this other wooden raised bed over there. So it's one that I can walk underneath. I can go underneath and around it. It's probably like 6.5 feet tall right there. So I can walk comfortably underneath it. It's amazing. I love it because it adds like, it looks so pretty too. I absolutely love it. Um, and then I have a tomato growing right here up it. And then I also have a tomato on the other side on the opposite corner growing up it too. So hopefully this will be an entire wall of tomato very soon. I do a lot of that. Here, if I can kind of show you right here, I have another type of trellis. So this is again just a cattle panel that I have. It's placed on its side. So this is as tall as it is right here. And this is just a T-post in the ground up against one of the wooden raised beds. And I can plant things in the back of that wooden raised beds, and then it grows up it. Right now I have a bunch of peas still growing up it over there, but I also have a tomato plant that I planted over there that, I mean, by the time the tomato plant gets up there, the peas will be long gone. But yeah, so I use a bunch of different types of things like that. But I highly recommend doing as much vertical growing as you can. Okay. Oh, good call out here, Karma. Um, Folding tomato cages. Yes, I love folding tomato cages. I have several of them. I don't know if you can even see them because yeah, I don't think you can see them back there. But Park Seed has these square tomato cages that whenever you're not using them, they fold flat. It's amazing. It's such a time saver, a space saver for me, because in the past I've always used those cheap circle ones that you can get at any big box store, and I don't know what to do with them in the summer or in the winter time. So we just toss them off to the side, and it's like, it doesn't look great. But with these, I can literally just fold them up, place them out of sight. Like it's great. Okay. So one more plant that we did not mention as a good companion. Sorry about that, everybody. Hopefully I'm back. Okay. I'm connected to my phone out here because like my Wi-Fi from inside is not great. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully I'm back and you guys can all see me. Um, Okay. Anyways, so what I was saying, beans, well, and peas at the same time too, as I say that, they're both really great at fixing the nitrogen in the soil. They're very unique in that way. So they're really great to put next to plants that are known to be like heavy feeders almost, because they can help to fix the nitrogen in the soil. So I will always recommend planting any sort of bean or pea, especially in like the off season if you don't have anything going. Highly recommend doing cover crops of some sort of legume in the legume family because it will really help. Okay, and then we will talk about the enemies for squash next. So these ones are ones that, again, so I know we talked a little bit about potatoes in the last one, but potatoes, again, are going to be ones that are not ones that are going to be great for squash because they're going to compete with space, they're going to spread disease. So it's just something that you want to avoid. And then also melons too, same thing because they're very similar. They're very similar in that they will attract the very same pests and they will compete for nutrients as well because they're heavy feeders. So I'm I'm laughing at this. Yes, I definitely do. I feel like I need something because I tried to connect to my phone, but it like I don't know, it kicked me off for a second or something. But I'm back. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, you need to pop over here to Oklahoma and help fix that. And then I know we talked about fennel before, so I'm not going to go all into fennel again because fennel is definitely just something that's not great for anything. And then top plants for cucumbers. I will touch on this. I know we're starting to run slow on time. I want to make sure that we hit the next plants too. So cucumbers, again, the biggest thing that that you're going to be worried about with cucumbers are cucumber beetles, and that's the fact that they spread disease and things like that. So anything you can do to help deter the cucumber beetles. Oh, it's getting really windy too um, are great. So again, radish help really well with that. And nasturtiums help with that too. They will help to repel them and act as trap crops. And then, too, with the cucumbers, we have the corn is something that's really good, and sunflowers. They work very similar together because they can act as trellises and wind blocks. And also with the sunflowers, they will attract in some aphids, so they can work as a trap crop for you too. Um, and then beans, again, are going to help to give a bunch of nitrogen into the soil too. Good call. What kind of pot should I plant cucumber seeds in? So I plant all of my cucumbers into smart pots. I know I have all of my smart pots over here, exact opposite of where I am, and there's a tree blocking. So, but I do have a couple smart pots back here that I have like my potatoes in, like a wall of potatoes here on the outside of my garden. But these are all in these little black containers right here, which are smart pots, and they're just these little tiny, like, I mean, they have a bunch of different sizes. They have the fabric sides, and I use these all the time. They work absolutely incredible for pretty much everything. So I have a bunch of these, and well, I have a bunch of trellises like this arch trellis right here, right in front of me on the other side of the tree, and I have a bunch of these pots right next to them, and I will plant like a cucumber in one of those pots and then let it just vine up it. Um, so that's definitely something. I mean, I always plant everything pretty much in smart pots if I don't put it into one of these wooden raised beds. Oh, thank you, Karma. Yes, this is a really good call out, too. So, one thing to remember, regardless of what you plant, is where you plant it, because yes, this is a good call out, because if you plant like a heavy feeder, like one that wants a lot of nutrients in the soil, followed again by another plant that wants a lot of nutrients without helping replenish the soil in between, you're going to have a lot of issues there. So you want to make sure that you're rotating. Like I actually do, like I use beans all the time, and I do this for a reason. Like I plant a whole bunch of bush beans in an area where I had a bunch of like brassicas before. So that's actually what I'm doing right now. I planted a whole like half of one of these wooden raised beds with some bush beans where I had a bunch like a cabbage and things like that in them, trying to help fix the soil a little bit naturally while still growing some food. So it's definitely good to try to rotate as much as you can. Yes, 100%. It really is. They definitely had that pegged. Like the Three Sisters is definitely a great way to go. Awesome. Space Master cucumbers in a 10-gallon smart pot. Awesome. I know one of you all, I don't think, I haven't seen Sue in here, but I know Sue was telling me that she was trying growing like a miniature cucumber a, in a green stock. So she'll have to let us know and give us an update next week when she comes in on how that's going. So Patty was asking about my green beans didn't grow. Is it too late to plant them again? So check the app, check the dates in the Seed to Spoon app to see exactly when, but you might have to switch to like southern peas at this point, which I grow a lot of southern peas myself here too, whenever it gets too hot for beans, and they grow very similarly. They do need a trellis. So it is definitely more like a pole bean type, but it's technically peas, but they're southern peas, but they are definitely one to look into as well. Um, okay. And then enemies for cucumber. I know we've talked a little bit about potatoes with every single one, but again, potatoes don't play well with cucumbers. And again, melons. So very similar pests. They have a lot of space issues too, because both of those will take up a lot of space and compete. Same as the cucumbers, they can typically get too large sometimes too. So for sure. Let's see. Oh, here, good question. In the app for square foot, does zero point 0.5 mean one plant per 2 square feet? Yes, that was the best way that I could think to represent that. So if you guys can come up with a better way, let me know. But yes, that is kind of how I went through and did it. So it's something that means like it's pretty large, and I try to avoid that. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I know I'm probably missing questions because the questions go by so fast and the comments go by so fast. So I'm sorry if I'm missing things that pop up. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about peppers real quick. And peppers are definitely something that I grow a lot of myself. And I treat peppers almost like tomatoes in my companions. They are they're very similar in what they like, I feel like. So they also really like basil and marigolds and all of those too. Um, Oregano and marjoram is actually one too that's really big for peppers too. So if you're looking for something unique to pair with your peppers, try marjoram, because it's known to help with the flavor of peppers. And then um, yes, I see this. Yep, I get to talk about my favorite flower. And you know that I had to put a picture of a zinnia in here because as I was making this, I was like, okay, I haven't put in zinnias anywhere. And zinnias are pretty much companions for everything because they are amazing. And they are my favorite. But they are just so easy to grow and they're so beautiful, so beneficial too. They will really help to bring in so many pollinators. Like you will have so much life if you just have a strip of zinnias and somewhere in there. And they will really help to bring in the pollinators and also just beneficials too to help with pest control for the others. So I highly recommend giving some zinnias a try. You don't have to grow the super large ones. There's smaller and compact ones if you're worried about like shading out certain plants, especially things like peppers. So I would recommend doing like a smaller, shorter variety if you're going to put them next to your peppers. But I always recommend doing zinnias in any area that you can. Yes, absolutely. They are for sure. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, you definitely need to do that. Okay. Let's see. A bunch of old whiskey barrels. Absolutely. Yeah, you could try that for sure. Um I've done a lot of random things, especially when we first started before we had like all of this growing space. We would do so many different unique random types of things. I mean, there is no harm in trying anything as long as it is a safe wood. That's the only thing that I would look at because if it is older, like you might just want to look at it to make sure it's not like the newer pressure treated wood is generally considered safe, but like older stuff is not. So if it's older, I would be a little bit leery, but yes. Yes, absolutely. Nothing better. And that's how I do with zinnias. At the end of the season, I let them all go to seed and they drop all of their seeds to the ground and I just let them reseed themselves and grow wilds. So, yeah, for sure. Um, and then enemies for peppers. So beans are something you may want to try to avoid around peppers. I mean, it's known to possibly compete for nutrients. It's not like a given, but and then again with the brassicas, you want to try to avoid like the broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, anything around there. But they are different seasons too, so you most likely aren't going to be planting them next to each other. But uh, like a good call out from before with when Karma posted, it's good to rotate where you plant things too. So you do want to try to rotate, like if you did have a broccoli or anything like that, um, then you can do something different there instead of a pepper. Or if you really wanted to do a pepper there, just toss some compost. Make sure you fix up the soil a little bit before you plant it in. I love it. Plants and gardening. I think I do the same thing too. Everybody I meet, like, and everybody like that sees me out and about, they're like, "Hey," and then so we just talk gardening. Okay, this is a good question. So about tomatoes and peppers. So yes and no. So they're kind of something in the I mean, they're kind of in the gray area because they grow very similarly. They have very same requirements, so it would be very easy to care for them. But at the same time, too, like they could possibly attract some of the same, have this some of the same issues and things like that. So I don't keep them super far apart, but I don't put them on top of each other too. But I generally like I have actually a smart pot round raised bed that's planted like right in the front of this that has a tomato on one side and then I have it surrounded by I actually have a basil, a nasturtium and a marigold, all three on each side, and then I have two peppers to the side of that and then I have more basil. So I plant them together in the same area, but not like right on top of each other, if that makes sense. So that try to kind of, yeah. So because they're not the best of friends, but they grow so the same. Like so, I always want them together. Oh, okay, I gotcha. So I planted in the barrels already, but now they're rotting. Yeah, absolutely. I did have that same issue too because I actually had. Let me see if I can even find. Yeah, pick here. Oh no, if I can pull it up, you can see I actually have those raised beds right there that are on legs, and those legs eventually gave out and like rotted out. Same as that floor right there. But we literally just right there at that same spot just dropped the sides and just planted in that. So 100%, like you can just use that as kind of like a barrier on the outside and just to build up your soil a little bit, because it wasn't great for us to plant in the ground because we had a whole bunch of Bermuda as well as just really clay soil here in Oklahoma too. So okay, good question. Okay, growing enemies in sprout pots next to each other should be okay. Well, I like it depends. It really depends on what it is. So if it's something like fennel, because fennel has the issue with the roots. But if it's something like tomatoes and potatoes, those two have like the same disease issues or the space issues, like things like that. So it's very difficult to say for yes and no, but in general, I typically try to avoid planting enemies next to each other, and I try to have something in between to kind of space them out. You know what I mean? Okay. I like this. Yeah, absolutely. I think there is nothing better than companion planting because it really helps to bring in, and plus like so many of these flowers too are actually edible. So you're actually having more edibles in your garden, right? That's how I always explain it away. Um, but yes, it makes it so pretty and it brings in so many beneficials. Like they all love it too. So awesome. Okay. Let me see if I had a few questions. Oh, I have like 2 minutes here to go through questions and to answer any questions that might come up here. Um, okay. Hold on. Sorry, it is just me again today. So I'm trying to run the winner here real quick, and then we will go through and answer just a couple more questions. And okay, here. I had a couple questions from earlier that I wanted to pop up really quick. So Leslie was asking, how do you loosen clay soil? So I have really bad clay soil here in Oklahoma. So what we did was we did a bunch of layers of cardboard and then wood chips on top. That helps to smother out weeds as well, but it helps to just like enrich the soil too because it attracts worms and all of that. Um, there's also areas that I've had that I want to go a little faster than that. And I literally just toss a bunch of things like radish, turnips, anything like that that is a root crop that I don't necessarily want to eat, but I want them to try to grow in and like loosen that clay soil up. So I've done a lot of that where I plant that in the soil and just let that work for me, essentially, you know? Um, Let's see. One more question, then I'll do the winner. So, Jessica say, are companion plants still as important when vertical gardening like a green stock? Absolutely. I always think that it is going to be super important, especially, I mean, especially things that are going to be getting rid of pests. Because if you have something that can help to repel, like cucumber beetles, and you're growing cucumbers there, you really want to try to do that. Anything like that you can do in a container is best. Okay, let's go ahead and draw a winner really quick. I already did it. So congratulations here to Joe 901 TN. Hopefully I say that right. Send us an email at info@seedtospoon.net and we will get you hooked up. And like I said, we do these giveaways every single week. We do one of these workshops. We do giveaways. So if you didn't win this week and you want to win, come back next week. We do it all the time. And here, let me pull up just a couple more questions here real quick. This was a good question here. Starting to use the app as a new gardener, does it help with fertilizing? So here, let me show you really quick. I can actually show you right here. Just scroll down slightly. It says it somewhere. Did I pass it? Oh yeah, I did pass it. It's right there. So fertilizing. So it'll say exactly when you should. So at planting and at first bloom. So everything's going to be slightly different in when it says to fertilize. So you can check in the growing guides under which plant that you have a question about. So is there a way to show a plant taking up more than one square? So let me show you how I did it. So it is my 1, 2, 3, 4, bed 4. So right here, this is actually one of my cabbages. I just have it connected this way. So instead of individual, if you know what I mean, like, because this one is just a one plant, I did 4. So all I did was just adjust and then I just dragged it out to have it be covered there. So I know it's all just one plant right there. Buying ladybugs. Yes. So I have definitely done this before. So I do want to give you my experience. So I've done that. Well, I've done it twice. So the first time we released them and they all flew away. We were like, oh, well, that was great. The second time we did a lot more research and figured out what you need to do. So it was a lot better for us. So we actually have we released at dusk. So that way they don't really want to fly off. We made sure to release them where there is an aphid problem. So that way they have plenty of food right there. They don't need to go far to eat. And then also made sure that there was a source of water right there. So if they have everything they need right there, they're not going anywhere else. So release them at dusk. Make sure you release them next to where there's an aphid issue. And also have some water nearby. You should be good. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. This was super fun. I always have fun with this, but I feel like companion planting is just one of my favorite topics because I love growing companion plants and seeing what goes really well with other things. So it's always fun to hear. But if you guys have any favorite companion planting suggestions, I would love to hear them. Drop them in the chat after this so I can look at them. Yeah, well, thank you all. Like I said, I do this every single week, every Tuesday, 12 o'clock. And we always are doing giveaways too. So make sure to join us next Tuesday. I will be here. Same time, same place. Thank you all. Bye.